Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Scope. And now, here are your hosts, Jared, Adam, and Shane.
Hey, everybody out there in Scope Land, episode 163.
163.
Check notes.
In your 2014 year of. See, I'm already trying to change my ways for you, Jared.
I appreciate it.
Guess what, guys? Super Bowl is right around the corner. So, fair warning to all of our super fans, there's going to be a little bit of football talk during the show.
You can't escape it.
You cannot escape it.
It's our last chance to get it in before nobody cares.
During our winter break,
Yeah.
Jared, we spoke with one of our super fans, Dan T. He is he's English, and he has come to love the Minnesota Vikings.
Love might be a strong word.
Yeah, love hate.
He's come to be a fan of the team, and he probably has equal, if not more, disdain for them than we do.
Well, I love it. He's an English chap.
Yes.
He loves his fish and chips. Did you ask him that, by the way?
I don't think I did ask about fish and chips.
That was not on the
That's
quiz.
always my first question when it comes
Well,
to.
maybe you shouldn't have gotten sick.
Yeah.
You could have been there and asked that question right off
Shepherd's
the bat.
pie. That should be the first one.
So,
more of
Jared,
a Scottish thing.
we had scheduled an interview where we were all going to talk to Dan about
Yep.
his super fandomness and his football fanaticism.
And then
Unfortunately-
December happened, as we
December.
discussed 2 episodes ago.
and I got really sick. Adam got really busy, but Jared took it upon himself
Yeah.
to handle the interview on himself. By himself.
I did.
And we'll be playing that for you later in the show.
Yeah.
It's very, very good. I'm excited. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned within that, or I did, and I'm excited to hear how it played out.
I think it was fun.
Yep.
I think it went well.
But we should probably talk some general football stuff before we get into that, because the Super Bowl is right here. We're using that music for review purposes only,
Yep.
or parody, or comedic use.
We've used it before without issues.
I give that song 2 scope scores.
Yeah. 2 scope scores?
Something like that.
I don't know what that means.
I give that 1 2/3 scores out of 8 half scores.
I like it. So, so everyone knows that Jared and I support the Vikings.
We do.
Everybody knows that Adam supports the Redskins.
How about those new coaches that they maybe hired?
And true to form, our team stunk it up again this year. Vikings happen to have a better record than the Redskins this
They
year.
couldn't stink it up enough to get a higher draft pick.
No.
They're stuck at number 8.
Stuck at number 8. I don't know what that means.
Your
In terms of-
Washington football team doesn't even get their number 2.
Yeah,
they have to send it over to St. Louis.
well, why would they even want it? They have a generational quarterback in RG3. So
Yeah.
I think he'll come back strong again.
Probably.
Uh,
Can't be worse.
Yeah, it was a pretty disgusting year of football for us. Not a lot of positivity.
No.
And it was so bad that the Redskins lost their coach, who was
Mike Shanahan.
Mike Shanahan.
Have they fired the rest of his staff too, or just the head coach so far?
They fired just him, but they said basically when the new coach comes in,
Sayonara, suckers.
yeah. That's pretty standard. They'll fire the head coach, and then the new coach will come in and still have the option of retaining coaches who may
Yeah.
or may not.
unless you're a homophobe.
Unless the owners sometimes will want, or
True.
or GMs will want some coaches to stick around.
Yeah.
Vikings fired their coach Leslie Frazier.
Looks like he's going to land in Tampa Bay though as defensive coordinator.
He has landed in Tampa
Is
Bay.
it official?
It is official.
Okay.
It is
Because it was still likely, but a rumor
It's
this
official.
morning.
It
Okay.
was official this morning, confirmed. Official
Go
this
ahead.
morning, as in 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, all of this is old news to you.
Yeah.
guys.
So we've got, and at the same time, we've got former Viking punter Chris Kluwe possibly outing a Vikings coach, special teams coach, as a homophobe. Kluwe essentially saying that it was a hostile work environment and that he was fired from his punting job partially because of his support for the gay marriage amendment here in Minneapolis, and some of
his support in fighting it. He was not in favor
I'm
of
sorry,
it.
Yes, thank you. And just his gay advocacy speech that really became a national news headline for a number of times.
Yeah.
Jared, what's your take on this? Probably a lot of news about Kluwe has come out since this recording, but what do you think?
If I'm being completely honest, I believe that he was let go because of performance issues. But I also think that his advocacy probably made it easier for them to do so.
Yes.
I don't think it was a direct cause, but I'm sure it contributed to it.
Do you think that him not being picked up on other teams, if his advocacy has anything to do with that? Because
I don't feel like it.
I feel it might have a little bit to do
Really?
with it.
But
Yeah.
why would they even have him try out?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I mean, he was in Oakland's camp all preseason and was cut right at the last minute. So
By a guy who's kicking pretty well, I guess.
yeah.
Or beat out by a guy who's kicking well. What about you, Adam? You have a lot of opinion on gay things.
I do. I am the editor of various gay blogs and such.
Yeah,
Yes.
the double headband tells us everything.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he's even mixing brands,
Very,
for
very
Christ's sake.
Oh,
stylish.
goodness.
What do you think?
I think that I agree with
Ironically,
Jared.
we're sponsored by Adidas. It's just very strange.
Come on, we can't win here.
I agree with Jared that I think it was probably mostly performance, maybe entirely. I'm sure if he had been, in the top,
And salary, by the way. His
Yes,
salary
and
is high.
salary.
right? Because
I mean,
he's
they had
a
done the
veteran.
same thing to their kicker just the season before. So this was a pattern of behavior the Vikings had already established.
Yep.
You could also argue that, I mean, he makes the case that he was forced or requested to, pull up on his punting distance to help the team because they had a terrible coverage team. But
I would guess that there's a large number of punters that are in the exact same situation.
right, but if you're of a conspiracy mind, you could maybe look and see that they may have also done that to make his numbers look worse and to further justify the canning of him. So who knows? All we know is they're doing an investigation.
What about the allegations from Kluwe that his coach, what's his coach's name?
The special teams coach,
Yeah.
Mike Prefer. whatever?
Prefer was extremely aggressive in some of his anti-gay
Remarks.
and stuff pointed directly at Kluwe. Do you think that Kluwe is lying?
I have no reason to believe he is. I mean, what does Kluwe stand to gain other than national attention from making up a story?
I mean, he's essentially sandbagging his career. He'll never work in the NFL again. Just no one's going to touch him. It's too radioactive. So yeah, I'm curious to see where this is all going to go. And maybe
I also
maybe it
don't
has
believe.
gone.
I also don't believe that he's the only coach in the NFL who makes remarks like that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's probably plenty of coaches out there who use that sort of language. Whether or not they actually believe or are completely anti-gay or homophobic is maybe up for debate. But
Yeah.
I just think it's commonplace in that type of environment for people to make comments like
Sure.
that, and hopefully we're at a point in society where that's attitudes kind of starts to change.
Yes,
And people just don't make anti-gay remarks just because that's what people do.
sure.
But we'll see.
We will see. Yeah, it's an ongoing, developing story. Before we jump over to our interview with Scope Superfan Dan Taylor, Super Bowl prediction: who is going to win the Super Bowl? Adam, will it be the Seahawks or the Patriots?
Oh, that's your pick?
No, that's who is going to be playing in it, Jared.
Right, okay.
Time has proven that to be. Seahawks, Patriots. Who's the winner?
Well, based on my picks for my NFL playoff challenge, I hope it's the Broncos.
All right. Well, that wasn't one of your choices. Jared, Seahawks, Patriots. These are two strong teams. Patriots.
I would argue one of them is not a strong team at all.
Patriots came through, beat the Broncos in that last-second field goal.
I hate to say it. I feel like it's going to be Packers Broncos.
Oh my God!
I know. I hate it. I hate it that I'm even saying it. But I feel like Broncos will prevail in the Packers Broncos Super Bowl.
Well, if the Packers do make it, I hope that they lose in the worst way ever.
That'd be great.
That's all I'm going to say.
What's the worst way ever?
Something heartbreaking,
It has
like
to
a
be-
last-second thing.
Has to be a decapitation on field.
Someone has to die.
That's what I'm saying.
Or just like
that is literally the worst way.
How about
right?
like the entire game? It looks like the Packers are going to win, and then something happens at the
Brett
end.
Favre does something at the end that causes them to
they
lose.
sign.
They signed him as an honorary third quarterback, but through attrition,
works
he's
out.
forced onto the field.
Throws a pick six.
Doesn't even have
Done.
his pants hiked up because he's been taking dick pics.
Yeah, and then it's over. I love it. I love the way you guys
A
think.
boat comes out too.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have got quite a football-heavy show, guys, but it's going to be good. You're also going to be able to get into the mind of what makes a Scope Superfan tick. So I'm excited to hear this interview. I'm sure you will be too.
This is the first in our planned long-going series for interviewing Scope.
But then we realized we only had one fan, and then it was over. So it was a limited series kind of thing. So we've got that. We've also got coming soon. You'll have Hit It or Miss It. I mean, this is a big show, Jared, is it not?
It's gigantic.
Gigantic. So let's take a break. We'll come back with Jared and Dan Taylor and more Scope right after this.
This is The Fump.
And I said, no, I don't play them no more. Those Facebook games are really a bore.
Britney Spears is gonna freeze her head.
Take me down to the Vatican City where the nuns get none and the priests get pretty.
Is it good or is it sick? She puts the rot in erotic. 'Cause she's my zombie girl. I love her.
I guess it was Titanic Monday. Got frozen.
He's having a colonoscopy because he's over 49.
That doesn't make sense.
Okay, then we'll move on. The next one's really wacky.
That's the Funny Music Project at thefump.com. THEFUMP.com.
Subscribe this January and get 1 month free, plus a USB drive with all of 2013's music on it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. And sitting in with us this time, we've got a special guest on the show. We don't do interviews often, but an opportunity landed in our lap here, and we're going to take it. So joining us today is a Scope fan from across the pond. Dan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing wonderfully here. You know, we just got some fresh snow overnight, so who am I kidding? I hate the snow. I've a theory that everyone in Minnesota who loves snow doesn't have to participate in the actual. Hold on a second, my video camera went away. Hey, okay, we're back after some technical difficulties. I'm just going to keep that intro at the beginning because we don't like to edit too much. So anyway, what we were talking about our guest here, Dan. He lives in the United Kingdom. You mind telling us whereabouts in you live?
Yeah, it's Sheffield, so the north of England.
Oh, excellent. How is it? Is it a good football town?
Yeah, Sheffield's got football with Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United, so there's a big intercity hatred rivalry.
Excellent. So first of all, let's get some pleasantries out of the way. Congratulations on your engagement. I saw on Twitter that you got engaged.
Yeah, just asked her on Tuesday.
Fantastic. So we have apparently now a new rich tradition in the United States of doing very elaborate wedding proposals or engagement proposals, with choreographed dancing and a series of events meant to trick the unsuspecting person. I no doubt you've done something similar, and then we'll end up seeing this on YouTube shortly, right?
Absolutely. The dance routines, there was ponies, everything.
Oh, ponies. How does one get ponies this time of year? Do you have is there a pony renting? Is there an industry in the UK that just rents ponies for these occasions?
Surprisingly, yes.
That's good to know. I know where to go for my ponies in the future. So let's get into it. We've got some questions here. You are an NFL fan.
Yep.
In the UK. That is an odd enough scenario for us to say, let's interview this chap and see what the deal is over there. So we've got some questions specifically about the NFL and the Vikings and how everything is sort of perceived over there. And let's get right into it. So,
okay.
So how did you, well, you know what? I'm going to backtrack. I got one scope-related question before that. So how did you actually find out about the show? That's always something we're interested in.
The podcast trivia challenge.
Aha! One of the best things we ever did.
Yeah.
That has brought us quite a few listeners, and surprisingly, a number of them have actually stuck around over the years since then. So, yay! Thanks, John Norton, for having us on that. And how did you actually, to go even further down that rabbit hole? How were you listening to the podcast trivia challenge? How did you come to that?
That was through Metrobus, which was through Jay and Jack.
Oh, okay. There you go. So now the cycle is complete.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sticking with us here.
That's been good. It's been 5 years now, probably.
Fantastic. I'm glad we haven't scared you away. It's always nice when we have a long-term listener who's stuck with us. So even through our occasional hiatuses.
Yeah, but it's been good. I mean, you might scare me off with this interview, but otherwise, yeah.
Nah, I think we'll be fine. So, question number 1 in the NFL: how did you get into the Minnesota Vikings? How did you choose that as your team? Is it?
Yeah.
So, are you a sports guy in general?
Not really. I mean, apart from watching tennis, I didn't really like any sports at all. But then came to American football by accident from watching Bruce Springsteen. When he did the halftime show.
Okay.
I thought, well,
and he slid crotch first into the camera.
Absolutely. It was an experience for everyone.
Oh, wow. I mean,
but when he did that, I thought, well, I'll just stay up and watch that show, and then ended up really enjoying the game while I was waiting for it.
Oh, fantastic!
And then I sort of hooked from that.
Well, that's an interesting. I guess that is the NFL does benefit from the Super Bowl being a worldwide phenomenon. People actually are coming to the game that way. So, how does it feel to be a Vikings fan and to be backing a team that is so filled with so much drama?
Oh, to have the words. I mean, the Vikings are quite a good team to be if you're English, because they try hard and then fail. Like most English teams. So they're perfect for that.
Sort of relate to that.
Yeah.
You got used to having a stiff upper lip too, and sort of just being strong in the face of adversity.
Absolutely, and there's been plenty of adversity.
No kidding. It's too bad that you joined the team sort of in. Other than 2009, you sort of joined the team in kind of the lull. We had some pretty good late 90s, early 2000s experiences, which of course were just completely heartbreaking for fans because they couldn't quite get all the way. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the first year I watched it was the 2009 Brett Favre year, which really set me up wrong as a Vikings fan. 'Cause look, they're successful. They win every game.
They basically sold out the franchise to get a bunch of players to make a run at it, and then 2010 was sad. And anyway, So overall, what is it like? How's the NFL perceived in the UK? Is it a big deal? Is it kind of up and coming, or just kind of give us a little flavor on what it's like to be a UK NFL fan?
It's probably similar to being a soccer fan in America.
Okay.
People know it exists. People might watch it on TV occasionally, but it's not something that gets a lot of big attention, really. It's crawling up a little bit with the international games, but otherwise it's still a very sort of obscure, nerdy sport over here.
So it seems like around we heard some stuff around when the Vikings made their appearance there this year that they had. That the fans were really, really supportive. Is there just like a local scene that supports each team, or are there certain teams that are more popular than others?
There's definitely popular teams. Pick your famous, successful teams. It's them. So it's Patriots.
Sure.
The Niners.
Even though the Patriots sort of signify the America breaking away from Great Britain. Come on, you guys support that?
Some do.
Okay.
My future brother-in-law supports them, so. He gets to have fun times on Sundays with the NFL while I cry.
The Patriots have definitely had more success recently than the Vikings, that's for sure. Let's move on. So you actually went to the game.
I did.
When the Vikings were in town to face off against the Pittsburgh Steelers. What was that experience like?
That was great. I mean, that's the second international game I went to.
Okay.
I went to the Niners-Broncos one, which was 2010, I think.
Okay.
But this was different, obviously, to your team. There was a surprising amount of Vikings fans. I thought everyone knows the Steelers.
Sure.
So it's going to be sort of Steelers dominant. But no, it was pretty split. Everyone was having a good time. It was really good. And they won.
They did win. They managed to pull off one more win in U.S. turf eventually. That was very sad. But no, that was a good game. I'm happy that you had an exciting game, even if they won. But even had they not won, there was a lot of scoring, a lot of action. So I'm glad that worked out. Where were your seats?
We were sort of dead center in one of the end zones, like looking straight through the goalposts.
Okay.
About 20 or so rows back.
Okay, that's not bad at all. Although you sort of get a one-sided view of the action, but.
We do. I mean, we got lucky that a lot of the sort of big action came towards us.
Excellent.
So like the big Adrian Peterson touchdown was towards us. The end of the game was right in front of us. So we got to see a lot of it up close.
Yeah, we as the Scope went to a Vikings Redskins game a few weeks back, and we sort of lucked out when we had terrible upper deck kind of corner seats, but the game was on the line and finishing up right in our end zone. So it was kind of nice to have that experience. And yeah, I obviously captured some audio and kind of lost my voice at the end of that game.
All right, I'll listen to that one.
That's awesome. So NFL in the UK, it's like, how do people really understand the rules? There's a lot of people in the U.S. don't enjoy the game because they find that there's too many rules and they don't quite understand the action. How is it for, relatively newcomers to the game? Are they able to understand it? Are you able to understand it?
I do now. It's the most complicated sport in the world.
Yeah.
Like the first season, I had Wikipedia's rules open at all times, trying to read that along. Why are there like 3 different penalties that were all the same thing? Yeah.
But I think sometimes you just have to not worry about it too much. Like, I don't necessarily understand what all the penalties mean, but I don't know.
Yeah, the difference between an offsides and a neutral zone infraction, and these are all the same thing. No one knows the difference.
And especially when the penalty is the result is the same. It's like, let's streamline a little bit. I just forgot what my next question was. What's your favorite part of the game? Like, for me, I really enjoy sort of the precision of it, like how they can have 6 people running downfield and they have these complicated routes and each one sort of kind of sets up the next one, and how the quarterback has a sort of a decision tree he has to go through to decide where the ball goes and all that stuff. And then you have the pure athleticism that these people put on display when making some of these catches or making these runs. I mean, that's the sort of stuff that I enjoy about the game. How about you? What's your sort of favorite aspect of the NFL American football experience?
I've always liked the fact that there's a lot of pressure on every single player. Whereas football over here, or soccer, which is still not the right word for it, you can spend a lot of time, you can sort of pass the ball backwards and forwards, you can waste a lot of time, and there's no play clock like a basketball thing where you've got to try and make a move.
Sure.
Where American football, you can't just get a lead and defend it. You've got to constantly try and score all the time.
Yeah, and everyone has to execute for the play to work the way it's supposed to. Good answer. I approve of that answer. So finally, in our Vikings discussion here, so what's your take on the team this year? How are you feeling about them? I mean, I think the obvious answer is...
Apart from they're awful. They're probably not as bad as the record.
Do you think it's more the players aren't playing well, or is it more coaching?
I think the coach is going, and I'm sort of fine with that.
Yeah.
I think Ponder's going, I'm fine with that. But if you look at this, something like 5 games where they lost it in the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, that's bad play, but some of it has to be just bad luck at the same time.
I think bad luck only goes so far. When it happens that many times, to me, it feels like it's a coaching problem. That's sort of my opinion on it. I mean, the players need, obviously, as more of these happen, the players, sort of, it gets in their heads. But again, that goes back to coaching.
It's in my head.
Yeah. When you're on the field, I imagine they're like, oh, no, it's happening again. And that's kind of the point where coaching has to come in and somehow get the players to still perform and do their jobs, even though they may be concerned that it's not going to work out. So do you have, what's your feeling? Do you think the team's going to bounce back next year? What do they need to do in the offseason to get back on track for next year?
Should I go with the obvious and get a quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, that's the obvious. And they're kind of not doing themselves any favor. I've been watching sort of the, what was once a very deep college quarterback field. And I don't really follow college that much, but sort of tangentially, I know that there was a sort of the impression that there was going to be a really deep quarterback field in the draft.
Yeah.
And kind of one by one, there's been several of the high-profile quarterbacks deciding that they're going to stay one more year in college, while at the same time, the Vikings are doing just enough to not have the highest pick in the draft. So, as a longtime Viking sufferer, this sort of is like, yes, of course, this is how it would go. It's the same sort of year when Vikings just had to beat the Washington Redskins a few years ago and blow their chances at the top pick. And also blow out Adrian Peterson's knee.
Yeah, I can remember watching that game. That was a bad one.
So they always seem to have not. I mean, it's hard to say you want your team to just throw the games so that they get a high draft pick, but that just seems to be how it goes. They just seem to win just enough that they end up with 4 or 5, and then they miss out on the really great pick. So, but anyway, this was your opinion time.
I said Monday to Saturday, I'm like, the Vikings should lose every game.
Yeah.
Try and get the first pick, and then as soon as the game comes on, I'm just screaming at it. I'm like, why can't they just win? And then as soon as I've lost, I'm like, oh, that's all right then.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. It's like, you're like, oh, they're losing. Whatever. That's great. Better draft pick. And then they start putting on an effort, and you're like, whoa, they might win this. Okay, I'm going to cheer and be excited. And then they...
And then they lose.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've completely acclimated to being a Vikings fan. Good job.
Thanks.
Welcome. So we're going to move on to the trivia portion of the interview now. These are, I think, 10 questions we have. They are Vikings and NFL trivia. You're going to ask you to prove to us that you are a proper fan. Are you ready? I've got my soundboard up. We're going to ask these questions here. You may or may not know the answers. We're just going to have some fun with this. So, question number 1.
Okay.
The soon-to-be former Vikings stadium, the Metrodome, was partially named for what famous Minnesota politician?
Hubert H. Humphrey.
Hey, there we go. You are correct. It's funny how the soundboard has to be the active window to actually work. All right, question 2. Counting the end zone, how long is an official NFL field? And these are imperial units. You should know this.
120 yards.
That is correct. 120 yards. You are 2 questions in and 2 answers correct. Not too bad there, Dan. Here we go. Question 3. In 8 seasons from 1969 to 1976, the Vikings found themselves in an amazing 4 Super Bowls. How many did they win? 4 Super Bowls.
0.
One of which was in my lifetime. Correct. 0 wins in 4 Super Bowl appearances. They lost to the Chiefs. They lost to the Dolphins. They lost to the Steelers, and then they also lost to the Raiders.
They've never been in my lifetime. So.
No. Closest they came for me is actually related to this next question. Here we go. In the Vikings franchise's first 40 seasons, they found a season high with a 15-1 record. They were led by Randall Cunningham, Robert Smith, Randy Moss, and were coached by Dennis Green. Which season did they have this remarkable season record?
98.
That is correct. You are proving yourself a proper fan. Let's see. The Vikings scored the most points in the NFL in 1998 with 556. I think that record's been broken since, but they set the record at that point. They had high hopes going into the playoffs, but they lost in the NFC Championship game to the Falcons on a stupid field goal kick when our kicker had missed a field goal previously. And very sad about that season. But moving on. Here we go. We just talked about penalties earlier. Here's a question on penalties. What's the penalty for roughing the passer?
What, the yards?
Yes. What is the yardage penalty for roughing the passer?
15.
Half right. I'll give it to you. It's 15 yards or half the distance to the goal if within 30 yards.
Of course.
So
right.
You're doing really well here. This is great. You're not a pretender. I like it. All right. Next question. What was the nickname given to the Vikings defense in the 1970s? That's an American 1970s, not British 1970s.
The Purple People Eaters.
That is correct. You've done some research, haven't you?
I'm such a nerd.
Awesome. The Purple People Eaters, their defense was so impressive that in 1971, Alan Page was awarded the NFL's most valuable player. That's impressive. A defensive player.
It is.
Usually it's a quarterback or running back.
Yep.
All right, next question. When a game goes into halftime, what are the rules for a team to win? It's changed in the last couple years. And we experienced this.
You mean
Vikings?
overtime?
What's that?
You said halftime.
Did I? I'm sorry about that. Okay, when a game goes into overtime, I read that wrong. What are the rules for a team to win? How can a team win in overtime?
No, it's if the first team scores a field goal, they kick off for the team to have a chance to score. If there's a touchdown or a safety, that team automatically wins. No one knows how to explain that.
That is correct. I believe it's each team technically has a chance to possess the ball unless the first team scores a touchdown. So when you get into that safety situation or the defense scoring off of an interception on that first possession, that's the defense is technically possessing the ball at that point. And so that's it. Game over.
Yep.
Awesome. Wow, you're rolling here. All right. We got 3 questions left, and then we'll let you go. Which stadium did the Vikings play in from 1961 to 1981? A little more local here.
Oh, I should know that as well.
I can tell you now it's the Mall of America site.
No, don't know.
Oh, Metropolitan Stadium. It's in Bloomington, Minnesota, and was built a minor league baseball park. But in 1961, the Washington Senators became the Minnesota Twins. Seating area of the park was expanded, and it was the home of the Twins and the Vikings until the Metrodome opened in 1982. The old Met was the scene of many great football games, and the winter season gave rise to the belief in the toughness of the Vikings. Do you believe that? Do you believe a team that plays in cold weather is a tougher team, is a stronger team?
No, ours certainly isn't, going by last week's game.
True. Although the Bears made the case that they won in the cold elements when they beat the Cowboys here on Monday night. So who knows? I guess it depends. I never quite understood why going out there with uncovered arms was a sign of toughness. But then again, I'm not playing the game professionally. So 2 more questions. Here we go. Which NFL team has won the most Super Bowls?
The Steelers.
Correct. I just switched away. Correct. They have won 6. 49ers have won 5. So the 49ers
as seen on this charming mug.
Look at that. International series. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
How much do they charge for something like that?
I think that was £10, which is about $1 billion.
That conversion rate. It's tough. All right, final question, and then we'll let you go here. The Vikings have had 8 head coaches since the team was founded in 1961. How many can you name? I'm just going to ding them as you name them. 8 coaches.
Bud Grant.
Correct.
Denny Green.
2.
Brad Childress.
3.
Leslie Frazier.
4.
Les Steckel.
5.
Now I'm probably stuck. Let me think. Jerry Burns.
6.
Yeah, now I'm good. that's all I'm getting.
The 2 remaining, the first coach, Norm Van Brocklin, and then between Denny Green and Brad Childress, there was Mike Tice.
Of course, yeah.
So there you go. 6 out of 8, though. That is pretty impressive for someone who is brand new to Vikings fandom. Tell you what, that's good. I'm going to give you an applause. So Dan, that wraps up our time. I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's been a delight.
It has. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and congratulations again on your engagement.
Thank you.
I hope everything goes well, and I wish the 2 of you wonderful marital bliss.
Thank you very much.
So thanks again. Stick around, folks. We've got more Scope coming up right after this.
We now join the Scope, already in progress.
Under the Scope. Oh, yeah, you guessed it.
Great interview, guys.
Coming soon.
Good job, Jared.
So we're talking the week of January 19th, Adam. What's on your list?
We've got some music first. Against Me has a new album coming out. I forget the name of the lead singer of Against Me, but he's currently going through transgender reassignment, gender reassignment. So I think this is their first album with him going through that.
And what's the name of the album, by the way?
Transgender Dysphoria Blues.
Maybe what he's going through. You never know.
Well, I think we do know. The Augustines, album from them. Mogwai, an album from them.
Yes. They're a hot little indie band. Been around a
while. Some movies.
Don't feed them after midnight.
Right. Everyone knows that. Unless you want one of them to also dress up transgender and be a sexy gremlin.
I don't see how that works out, but...
That happened in Gremlins too. Do you not remember the lady gremlin?
I do remember her. She kind of like that.
It's not like she was a lady. They didn't have genders. So he just chose to put lipstick on.
I think that adds a whole new level to Gremlins 2.
Electric Boogaloo. It does. Movies. We've got I, Frankenstein. Seems like a weird movie for Aaron Eckhart to be in.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
It seems bizarre to me.
I'm not sure what I think about that one.
I think it looks like terrible business.
It could be fun terrible, though.
It looks like Van Helsing when that was a few years
something
ago.
Like
that was really bad.
Yeah.
DVD and Blu-ray, we've got Machete Kills.
Jared doesn't have as good a taste as you, Adam.
Machete.
Say it. Correct.
Right.
Machete Kills.
Machete.
Good job.
Did you guys see either one of these?
Yeah, we saw a sneak preview.
Yeah, we saw Machete Kills.
Machete Kills.
Did you see the first one too?
I saw it.
I did not see it.
Just Machete. Were they good? I mean, for Danny Trejo movies,
I mean, they're cheesy send-ups of genre. So
if you like that sort of thing, you'll love it. But if you're like me and you don't, you'll hate it. Done.
Captain Phillips.
Jared
You
saw
guys
that?
Saw that as well.
Oh,
I
just
did not
Jared.
see
Okay.
that.
It's a good movie.
Is it Oscar talk, Jared? Is it in that? Or is it,
I think
is it a little,
I could see a Tom Hanks nod maybe, but I think the best actor field's a little crowded this year. Do you think?
Wilson in that? Is Wilson in that?
No Wilson.
No Wilson.
No.
I meant the neighbor from Full House.
He's
from
dead.
Home Improvement.
He's
not-
dead, by the way.
not
He can't be in it.
No posthumous nominees.
No.
The exciting follow up to Batteries Not Included. Instructions Not Included. Is
This
coming
is sort
out.
of like a critically acclaimed kind of
Isn't
movie.
this is like a Spanish language film?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
It did pretty well actually in box office. I'm saying.
Pardon. Instrucciones no includarse.
Is that right, Jared?
Sounds authentic.
And Comedy
Call
Bang
up Audrey,
Bang
quick.
Season 1.
I'll take the tableside guacamole.
The TV show.
I put that there for you.
What show? I missed
Comedy
it.
Bang Bang Season 1.
That's a nice
and,
callback.
Yes, right? From last week.
It worked out, and we didn't even coordinate that.
And we have one additional really lackluster week in video
Yeah.
games. We've got Dragon Ball Z for the 360, PS3, and Vita. Nothing for the new consoles.
You're not going to really see anything for that until March.
Well, we've got another Final Fantasy, another Rayman, another Castlevania, and Thief is back in February. But yeah.
But you've got Titanfall and Infamous.
Yes.
Those are your two big heavy hitters in March.
Yes.
So I guess that leaves Hit It or Miss It, and by checking my watch, it looks like I'm the next one on the
You
list.
are next on the clock.
So Hit It or Miss It, for those of you that don't know.
They all know.
If you're... They do know. I guess they do know.
Yeah, they know.
They know by our great stinger on it.
It's perfectly...
Which we'll hear right now.
Go!
Hold for edit.
Hit it or miss it. Hit it or miss it.
we got Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings to do a song for us.
I love it.
It's awesome.
I am selecting a musical album.
Oh.
And I'm picking Young the Giant's new Mind Over Matter. A few years back, Young the Giant released an album that I really loved, and I think I talked about their music on this very program. I've heard their first single off of this one. I'm not quite sure what to think, but it's slim pickings, guys. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna crap on Machete Kills. So I'm definitely gonna pick this and
I like
cross
their
my
last
fingers
album.
and hope it's good.
That was a band where I actually was, you know how Entertainment Weekly sometimes does if you like this song, maybe you'll like this one. I'm like, oh, I like that song, and they recommend Young the Giant, so maybe I'll check them out.
And you liked it.
It turned out I liked them.
Well, terrific.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's great.
Coming soon. Done deal, pal.
Yep.
Done deal.
Under the scope.
Hey, there we go.
So this is
I hate
where
the
we.
Z key, not the X key.
This is our landfall or windfall of comments, right?
We actually have a comment. This comment is on episode 160,
Okay.
and it's from friend of the show, John Norton.
Oh, we love John
This
Norton.
is bravissimo to Jared on
Ooh.
his spot-on dramatic reading of my comment. Remember how I did his comment?
It was sexy and hot.
Yes. And for the record, no, I do not think, nor have I ever thought, you guys phoned it in. Just needed some sort of generic podcast complaint to zing with you.
He hasn't heard this
Or
episode.
zing you with. Adam is literally phoning it in right now. He's got his phone in his hand.
I'm multitasking.
So thank you, John. Thanks for the bravissimo, and thank you for clarifying your comments. If you are out there and you would like to compliment me on being the master of the mailbag or any of my other many, many titles that I've acquired over the years as part of the show, you can email us at comments@thescopeshow.com. You can call our voicemail line 612-21-SCOPE. That's 612-217-2673. Or you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, or Tumblr. All those links are on our website, thescopeshow.com. But if you're watching on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thescopeshow, you can comment right below. You can give us a thumbs up. You can subscribe. You can share us. You can add us to your favorites. Or you can donate. There's a donation link right there in the header of our YouTube channel.
Yep.
Yeah, Shane.
And on our website,
Sorry.
thescopeshow.com. A little bit goes a long way. We lost our...
And we need a little bit.
We lost our main Amazon funding last year because of a legal dispute with the state of Minnesota. So
Come on, guys.
We're left asking you to help. So if you want to support us, give a little. We'll keep the shows coming.
That's right.
Back to you, Shay.
Guess what? Master of the Mailbag is in the official Scope ledger now. So
I like that.
it's getting locked in.
It's in the ledger. It's in the record books.
That could be in a stinger, too, for the mail at the beginning.
We
Master
could.
of the Mailbag.
It'd be great.
Write that down. We'll get to it in 2017. All right, guys. Great show. Dan Taylor, thanks for being on the show.
Always a pleasure.
We got more Scope coming at you soon. Thanks for listening, guys. Take us home.
Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves once again at the end. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. I know I have. Fear not, Scope faithful. Days shall pass as if they were but a moment, and Jared, Adam, and Shane will return with another thrilling episode. Until then, send your comments to comments@thescopeshow.com or leave a voicemail message by dialing
612-21-SCOPE. That's 612-217-2673.
Thanks for listening, faithful fans. This is Tony Partington saying, ciao! Tune in next time to another terrific edition of The Scope.